July 29, 2025. The day began like any other on Guam, with the humid air thick and the sky painted in soft hues of orange and pink. But beneath the calm, a sense of unease lingered, a tension that had been building for months across the Pacific. Suddenly the tranquility was shattered. Alarms screamed through Andersen Air Force Base, their piercing wails echoing across the island and jolting everyone awake. The base, usually a symbol of American strength and routine, was now thrown into chaos. In the command center, all eyes locked onto the main screen. Red icons, representing Chinese warships, had appeared, moving rapidly from the northwest. The digital map pulsed with urgency, each icon a harbinger of conflict. A young airman, his hands trembling, called out to his commander. The officer's face drained of color as he read the incoming data. This was no drill, no exercise. This was the real thing, the moment they had all feared. The People's Liberation Army Navy's Shandong Carrier Group, flanked by a formidable escort of destroyers and frigates, was heading straight for Guam. They had crossed deep into the second island chain, a move that was both bold and provocative. This was a brazen act, an open challenge to American power in the Pacific. The standoff between the two navies was no longer theoretical, it was unfolding in real time, with the world watching. Across the island, alarms blared as operators snapped into action. They cross-referenced satellite imagery and live drone feeds, piecing together the scale of the threat. Every second counted as the situation escalated. Intelligence analysts worked feverishly, identifying each ship, cataloging its weapons, and calculating its speed and trajectory. The data painted a clear picture. Guam was the target, and the enemy was closing in fast. Suddenly, the Shandong's flight deck erupted with activity. J-35 stealth fighters roared into the sky, followed by electronic warfare planes designed to jam communications and blind defenses. The air was thick with the tension of imminent battle. Chinese destroyers swung their missile launchers toward Guam, their tubes glinting in the morning sun. The message was unmistakable. They were preparing for a direct strike. The intent was clear, a direct strike aimed at crippling America's Pacific stronghold. The threat was no longer abstract, it was a matter of minutes, not hours. Instantly, Guam's defenses roared to life. THAAD radar arrays spun up, scanning the skies for incoming threats. Patriot missile batteries deployed with precision, and U.S. Navy warships scrambled from Apra Harbor, ready to intercept whatever came their way. The island, a fortress since the dark days of World War II, was bracing for a storm of fire. Its bunkers and modern defenses stood ready, a testament to decades of preparation for this very moment. In the heart of the command center, the watch commander grabbed a secure line, his voice steady but urgent as he dialed the Pentagon. His message was brief but chilling. "We have an imminent threat, I repeat, an imminent threat to Guam, requesting immediate guidance and support." Across the island, the response was immediate. Military personnel rushed to their battle stations, donning gear and preparing for the worst. Even civilians on the base moved quickly, their faces etched with fear and determination. News of the crisis spread like wildfire. Satellite feeds zoomed in on Guam, and international headlines flashed across screens worldwide. The world's eyes turned to this tiny island, now the flashpoint of a new Pacific war. The storm was no longer gathering, it had arrived. Missiles streaked across the sky, explosions rocked the base, and the air was filled with the deafening roar of war. In that moment, the fate of the Western Pacific hung in the balance. The world held its breath, knowing that what happened next would shape the course of history for generations to come. Guam is the tip of the spear for U.S. power in the Pacific. Its location, midway between Asia and Hawaii, makes it a vital launch pad for bombers and submarines. Captured by Japan in '82 and retaken at great cost, Guam became a fortress, a logistics hub for wars in Korea and Vietnam. Today, as China's military rises, Guam's importance has only grown. It's America's westernmost territory, a critical node in countering Chinese expansion. Andersen Air Force Base, Naval Base Guam and Camp Blaz make the island a persistent operational hub. For China, Guam is the main obstacle to regional dominance, a target for Guam killer missiles. The island is both shield and bullseye, its fate a signal for the entire Indo-Pacific. Losing Guam would cripple U.S. power projection, defending it is non-negotiable. In any conflict, Guam's survival will shape the future of the region. The attack on Guam was not an isolated event, but a calculated act of retaliation that sent shockwaves across the Pacific and beyond. Just weeks earlier, U.S. F-35s had launched a daring strike against Chinese military outposts in the Spratly Islands. This operation was a direct response to escalating Chinese aggression against the Philippines, a key American ally in the region. The world watched as tensions simmered, wondering how far each side would go. The American strike was surgical, targeting advanced radar and missile installations. The intent was clear, to send a powerful warning to Beijing, demonstrating U.S. resolve without igniting a full-scale war. Yet, even the most precise strike can have unpredictable consequences. In Beijing, the news was met with outrage and disbelief. For China's leadership, the attack was more than a military setback. It was a national humiliation broadcast to the world. The Politburo convened an emergency session demanding a swift and decisive response. Restoring China's prestige became the top priority, and the military was ordered to prepare for a bold counterstrike. The target had to be unmistakable, a symbol of American power, not a distant proxy. Guam, a U.S. territory and strategic military hub, was chosen. Its significance was both military and psychological. Guam stood as the heart of American might in the Pacific, home to bombers, submarines, and thousands of troops. Striking here would send a message no one could ignore. Orders went out to the Eastern Theater Command, mobilized the Shandong Carrier Group for a full-scale mission. The Chinese Navy surged into action, preparing for a confrontation that could reshape the balance of power. The objective was clear: make America bleed, and prove to the world that China could strike at the U.S. itself. The stakes had never been higher. What began as a regional skirmish had now escalated into a direct confrontation between two superpowers, each unwilling to back down. The world watched in fear and uncertainty. The United Nations scrambled to respond, while news outlets broadcast images of anxious civilians from Manila to Los Angeles, all bracing for what might come next. As dawn broke over the Pacific, military forces on both sides surged into high alert. The next move would not only decide the fate of Guam but could change the Pacific and the world forever. The countdown to conflict had begun. Every second brought the world closer to a point of no return. Guam was now the front line, a symbol, a target, and the epicenter of a crisis that threatened to engulf the entire region. Operation Heavenly Retribution was China's answer. The Shandong Carrier Group would launch J-35 stealth fighters to strike Guam's runways and command centers. Simultaneously, destroyers would unleash cruise missiles, while DF-26 Guam killer ballistic missiles launched from the mainland. The attack would saturate defenses from all directions, aiming to cripple Guam's airfields, ports, and radar. Electronic warfare and cyber attacks would blind and confuse defenders. The goal: render Guam useless as a base and send a message to America's allies: you cannot be protected. It was a high-stakes gamble to reset the balance of power. The attack on Guam began in the pre-dawn darkness, as J-35 stealth fighters swept in low over the island's lush terrain. Their mission was clear: cripple Guam's radar systems before defenders could react. Flying just above the treetops, the jets unleashed precision munitions, targeting radar arrays and communication hubs, hoping to blind the island's defenders in the crucial opening minutes. Moments later, the horizon lit up as a swarm of cruise missiles arced in from Chinese Navy destroyers stationed far out at sea. High above, DF-26 ballistic missiles plunged from the stratosphere, their warheads streaking toward key military installations. The sky was alive with missile trails, each one a harbinger of destruction. Alarms blared across the island as U.S F-22 Raptors roared off the runway, racing to intercept the incoming threat. In the skies above Guam, a deadly ballet unfolded as American pilots engaged the J-35S in fierce dogfights, twisting and turning through clouds of missile smoke and anti-aircraft fire. On the ground, THAAD and Patriot missile batteries sprang to life, launching interceptors in rapid succession. Short-range air defenses filled the air with flak, desperately trying to knock down enemy jets and missiles before they could reach their targets. The defenders fought with everything they had, determined to protect the island. Despite the defenders' efforts, some Chinese aircraft broke through the gauntlet, dropping bombs on airbases and military facilities. Explosions rocked the ground as others were hit, spiraling out of control and crashing into the sea below, leaving trails of smoke and fire in their wake. Cruise missiles slammed into Andersen Air Force Base, cratering the runway and igniting a massive fire at a fuel depot. Secondary explosions sent fireballs into the sky, threatening to spread chaos across the base. Naval Base Guam was not spared. Shrapnel tore through buildings near the docks, shattering windows and sending debris flying. Smoke billowed from damaged structures as emergency crews rushed to contain the fires and rescue the wounded. Across the island, air raid sirens wailed, echoing through neighborhoods as residents scrambled for shelter. The ground trembled with each distant explosion, and families huddled together, listening to the thunder of battle outside. The psychological toll was immense. Soldiers and civilians alike felt the strain, but the island's defenders held their ground, barely. Inside command centers, tense faces watched radar screens, coordinating the desperate defense. When the barrage finally subsided, the damage was clear. The Chinese attack had drawn blood, leaving smoldering wreckage and battered defenses, but it had failed to deliver a knockout blow. Guam was battered, but not broken. The American flag still flew over the damaged base, a symbol of resilience and determination. Around the world, people watched in shock and anticipation as news of the attack spread. The world held its breath, waiting for America's response. Guam's shield had been tested as never before, its defenders pushed to the limit but still standing. Now, with the world watching and the island's defenders bloodied but unbowed, the sword would answer. Retaliation was inevitable. Guam's defense was a marvel of integration. JDC-2, the Joint All-Domain Command and Control System, fused data from satellites, drones, ships, and radars. As missiles and jets closed in, AI algorithms assigned interceptors in milliseconds. THAAD batteries targeted hypersonic DF-26 warheads, destroying most high above the island. Navy destroyers using Aegis radar launched SM-6 interceptors at cruise missiles. Patriot batteries mopped up threats that slipped through. The sky was a web of contrails and explosions, a digital shield absorbing the brunt of the assault. Some missiles got through, but most were destroyed. The Chinese had underestimated the power of a network defense. Guam's shield held, battered but intact. The defenders had bought precious time. Now, the counterstrike would begin. The kill chain was about to swing into action. The battle was far from over. Even as the last Chinese missile fell, the American counterattack was underway. The Shandong's location was exposed the moment it launched. 2 U.S. submarines, USS Virginia and USS Illinois, had been shadowing the Chinese fleet. They fired Mark 48 torpedoes and Tomahawk missiles at the escorts. From the air, B-1 bombers released swarms of long-range anti-ship missiles. Navy destroyers joined in, launching Tomahawks and SM-6SS. The assault was synchronized, striking from above, below, and beyond the horizon. The Chinese fleet, once the hunter, was now the hunted. The American kill chain was relentless. The Pacific's balance was about to shift. The first torpedoes shattered Chinese destroyers, sending them to the bottom in minutes. Chaos erupted as alarms blared on the Shandong. Cruise missiles slammed into the remaining escorts, disabling their radars and weapons. Then came the LRASMs, intelligent, coordinated, and deadly. Multiple missiles struck the carrier, igniting fires and crippling its engines. The Shandong listed, burning as the order to abandon ship was given. Sailors leapt into the sea. The loss of life was staggering. The carrier, pride of China's navy, became a floating tomb. In less than 30 minutes, a powerful strike group was annihilated. The American counterstrike was swift and devastating. The gamble for Guam had failed spectacularly. The Pacific's balance of power was restored at a terrible cost. The battle for Guam sent shockwaves worldwide. China's advanced weapons proved no match for America's networked, integrated defense. For U.S. allies, the message was clear. The American security guarantee still held. The key lesson: modern war is won by information, speed, and coordination. JDC-2, not just hardware, was the true weapon. The U.S. absorbed a powerful blow and struck back with precision. China's blunt force was outmatched by America's scalpel. Both sides learned hard truths. Technology alone isn't enough. Teamwork and data win wars. The Pacific was quiet again, but forever changed. The day the Dragon's fire met the kill chain would not be forgotten.